first we will be what you can say doing delegate option, then we'll do anonymous method option, and then we'll go for lambda expression, so that the revision also will be done. So let's add a new class in this. In new class, maybe we'll give the name like do operations. Okay. Let's specify some methods out here. So I will be specifying 3 methods out here. So my first method is, let's say, public int get square. Yesterday's method only I'm taking int x, and this method will return square. The next method I will be writing is let's say add. So int number 1, float number 2, and double number 3. That's it. And this will return the addition. Okay. So number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. Fair enough. Let's write one more, like public string, let's say get full name, and we'll be passing first name and last name. And this method is also to return some value, like string in this case. So return first name, give some space, and then we'll give last name. That's it. This is how string will be returned. All right, so we got 3 methods lined up, and these 3 methods I written to explain all those 3 concepts. So let me just delete these namespaces. These are not required now. Okay, let's go ahead and start creating delegates for this. Now, if you know the basic already, the return type of method and the signature of a method you need to think about. And for when you create a delegate, for delegate you will keep this as it is. So let's create a delegate. First you will be writing delegate keyword. The next return type. So let's say I'm doing it for get square method. So the return type is integer. Then as a signature, we are passing one variable to it of type integer, and then let's specify the unique name. For example, add delegate. That's it. So this is the delegate for, sorry, square delegate, we'll write it. I'm sorry. So this is the delegate for square method. Okay. Next, let's prepare the add delegate out here. So delegate. Next, we will be creating the delegate with return type. The return type of add is double. So let's specify here double. Then the signature will be writing it as it is. Like I will simply copy the signature as it is. And then we'll start giving the unique name. So let's say unique name is add delegate. Okay. Next, we'll go for the third one, get full name. Now for get full name, return type is string, and as a signature it is taking 2 string arguments. So let's prepare a delegate for this. So delegate return type is string. Specify the unique name like get full name delegate, and as a signature we'll be passing same. first name and last name. So we prepared 3 delegates. We got total 3 methods lined up here: get square, add, get full name. Okay, let's do one by one now. So firstly, I guess we learned delegate option. So in case of delegate option, what you need to do first, to access these methods, let's create the object or the instance of this class. So let's start preparing it, like do operations. So do operations reference equals to new do operations, and then let's start using these delegates out here. So already we created the delegate. Let's go for the first option, and for that I will take get full name method. Okay, so get full name delegate will be invoking this get full name method, and for that purpose we need to instantiate this delegate. So how you are going to do that? Let's create a reference of this delegate, get full name delegate delegate 1 equals to, let's assign the method into it. So do operations reference dot get full name. This is how it will be. And now using delegate, I'll be able to call a method. So what I will do, whatever the result will come, I'm directly going to display it. Okay, so full name is something like this, and then we'll call the method. So delegate 1 in bracket, let's pass on the first name and last name. So let's say first name is Steve and last name is okay. This is first option. Let's run it. See, the full name is Steve Austin. So it is working. So what we achieved here, using delegate, we are able to call a named method. Now currently this delegate is pointing to which named method? Get full name. So what we done? We assigned the reference of get full name into this delegate. Right? So this was, I guess, step 2 as per yesterday's discussion, instantiate the delegate. And step 3 is use the delegate to call a method, which we are doing here. Okay, so as per the first option, we followed this. Now let's go for the second option. What is second option? Second option was related to anonymous method. Now, what anonymous method is suggesting? If your definition code is smaller, then instead of writing the named method, you can directly attach the definition with delegate. So now here, if you see our add method, for add method, the code is minimal. It's only one line of code is there. So instead of what you can say, writing add method and adding a reference into delegate and then call it, we will simply attach this body to delegate reference, and this is anonymous method. Okay, so let me give here comment like using delegate. Now let's specify here comment again using anonymous method. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start using this anonymous method. So how will you use it? First, we'll create a delegate reference. So which delegate we hired for this add? This add delegate. So let's create a reference of it. So add delegate delegate 2 equals to. Let's specify anonymous method, and what anonymous method is suggesting you? Use the delegate keyword, then give the parameter list. So if you consider the parameter list of add, this is the parameter list I got. Okay. And then we'll start defining this method. So what we'll write? Return fish. That's it. Okay. So instead of using this named method add, we just prepared a delegate. Okay, add delegate, and using this delegate, we directly return the logic here. Okay, so the named option, named methods option is removed. This is anonymous method. Okay, so let's start calling this now again. So we'll use console.writeLine. Let's specify the message like addition is. Okay, delegate to, in bracket, let's specify the values. So I will specify 10 as a first value, 10.5 f as a second value, and some other values like 10 point some more range will be specified. So if I run this now, I'll be getting answer. Okay, and the third option we discussed is lambda expression. Now what lambda expression is suggesting, as I told you already, the syntax, you will be specifying these three things. What are those? First, you will specify parameters, then you will specify goes to operator, and then your actual logic will come, like the examples shown here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this get square method for lambda expression. Okay, so we prepared square delegate for this. Let's use square delegate using lambda expression. Okay, square delegate 3 equals to. What is the scenario here? The scenario is simple. You need to specify parameters, then you will specify goes to operator, and then your logic will come. So currently, how many parameters I got? Unfortunately, only one. I think this one I need to do it with lambda. Okay, no problem. So there is only one parameter available here. So let's specify that. So I will be writing here x. Now, as I told you, no need to specify the type of this parameter, because whenever you are using this delegate 3 reference, this square delegate is already knowing what type of argument it is. Okay, then use goes to operator, and after that your logic will come. So what is the logic? The logic is return x into x. Is it? Expected curly bracket. Oh, sorry. After finishing the statement, there is a semicolon required. I'm sorry. So semicolon need to be there. So you can watch out here. Three things I specified. The first one is parameter. Second one is goes to operator, and third one is logic. So if you think about lambda expression, see, if you compare it with anonymous method, and if you compare it with first option delegate, this is smallest in if you compare these two. Okay, so let's go ahead and call a method by saying where is delegate 3. Let's pass on the value 10. So will this be working? Let's run. See, I'm getting 100. Okay. Now for what you can say understanding purpose, we'll do these two options with lambda expression. Let's go ahead and do it. So what I'll be doing, I'll be reusing this delegate reference. Okay, so let's reuse it. So delegate 2 equals to. First, what I need to specify? Arguments. How many arguments we have? 3. Is there any need to give data type here? No. So simply what you will write? N1, N2, N3. Finish. Argument list we provided. Next goes to operator. And then your logic will come. So how you are specifying the logic? Return number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. That's it. You can watch out. It gets completed in single line. And are we specifying here data types? No, because this delegate 2, which is the reference of this add delegate, is already knowing the type of N1, N2, and N3. Because when we created the delegate, at that time, we specified the type here. Okay. Let's call it. So console.writeLine, we'll write the same line here. That will be better. Addition is like this. Okay. And then let's go for the first option, which is getting first name. So again, I will reuse this delegate reference. How many arguments are there? 2 arguments. If you think about it, there are 2 arguments. What are those? First name and last name. So let's specify those arguments here. First name and last name goes to return first name plus last name. Okay, and we need to close this curly bracket. So our lambda expression is done. Let's print the result. So what is the result here? Pass on the inputs and get the result. Okay, so what I will do now, I will simply comment out this, so that we'll come to know about whether lambda expressions are working or not. Okay. Okay, let's recreate these delegate references. That's it. So you can see, first we return the lambda expression for getting square. Next we return the lambda expression for getting addition, and lastly we return the lambda expression for getting full name. Okay. Okay. So let's build this, and if I run this again, I'll be getting same answers, which you can see. Okay, so using lambda expression with minimal effort, you'll be able to perform the same functionality. This is what the point. Okay, and when you write the lambda expression, you need to specify 3 things. First, parameter list, then goes to operator, and after that your logic will come. Okay, so this is all about lambda expression. Now let's move ahead and see the next option. Now, if you see all these three options, what are those? First we saw delegate, then we saw anonymous method. After that we saw lambda expression. Now in all these three, what is the common part? The common part is creation of delegate, right? So for delegate, we need to get compulsorily. For lambda expression also we need to create a delegate, and for anonymous method also we need to create a delegate. Okay, so we'll call it as programmer delegate, means we always need to create this delegate. But now .NET framework is providing us some set of built-in delegates. So what is the advantage of using these delegates? It is not required for me to create my own delegate. This delegate is already available in .NET framework, and I can directly use this. So ready to use delegates are available. Now definitely, if somebody is giving ready to use facility, there will be some limitations, right? Like there will be a limitations on return type, there will be limitations on parameters. The same you will be finding out here also. Okay, so there are three built-in delegates available. What are those? Func delegate, action delegate, and predicate delegate. Let's see all these three now. Okay. So as usual, I will be preparing one class, and in that I will specify three methods. Okay. So built-in delegates del. Okay. Let's prepare three methods of here. Firstly, I will go for our famous add method. So let's say double add int number one, float number two, double number three, and as usual this will return the result. Okay, second method I'll be taking is or maybe we'll take multiplication. Again, same set of arguments I'll be taking. Okay, let's go ahead and print the multiplication here. Now do remember why I'm taking here return type void, because deliberately I'm doing this, which I will be explaining ahead. Okay, and then last we'll take third method, which is, let's say, get length. It is returning boolean string str. in these methods, what we need to do is, let's say we need to check whether length is greater than 5 or 10 or not. If it is greater than 10, then we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false. So what we'll do, str dot length. If it is greater than let's say 7, then we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false. Return. Okay. Now see, here we are going to use built-in delegates. And what are those delegates? Func, action, and predicate. So if you consider func delegate, tend to use func delegate if method is returning value. Okay, so if your method is returning some value, then you will use func delegate, which is a built-in delegate. Now do remember, there are no restrictions given on arguments. So if my method is taking 0 arguments, then also I can use func, no problem. So up to 16 arguments you can supply using func. So there is a provision provided by .NET Framework. You can pass up to 16 arguments. Okay. So let's go ahead and start working on this. Okay, give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, so we are in func, and what I'm telling you, when to use func delegate if your method is returning a value. There are no restrictions given on arguments. Either you can pass 0 arguments or you can pass up to 16 arguments. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, like 16. So according to your requirement, you may pass on up to 16 arguments. Okay. Now, is there any need for me to create a delegate for these methods? No, because to invoke these methods, we'll be using built-in delegates. Okay. So right now I prepared here add method, and this add method is returning double value. And how many arguments this add method is taking? 3 arguments. So to invoke this method, we'll be using func delegate. Okay, so let's go ahead and start using this func delegate. So see here, it's a generic delegate. You can watch out in IntelliSense. Okay. So if I write this generic sign, then you can find out there are 17 overloads. Okay. Now if you think about the first overload, what kind of parameter it is expecting? Output. And what I need to specify, the type of output parameter. Is there any input parameter required for this? No. So if my method is not taking any argument, but it returns a value, then I will use this first overload. Okay. If you go to second overload, what it is saying, for second overload, you are getting first argument as an input. So now if my method is taking 1 argument and returns a value, then I will go for second overload. So what I need to specify here, I need to specify the type of input. Okay, and I need to specify the type of output. And this will go on, like inputs will go on increasing. Like if my method is taking 2 arguments, then I will use this overload. If it is taking 3 arguments, then I will use this, and so on. So up to 16 arguments I can pass on. You can watch out. So if you see 17 overload, 17th overload, how many arguments are there? 16. And as usual, you all are knowing method is always going to return only one value. So for each overload, you will be getting only one output. Okay. So this is how the func delegate is designed. Okay. Let's go ahead and start using this func delegate for our add method. Now, if you think about add method, how many arguments our add method is taking? 3 arguments. And obviously, my method is returning double value. So, which overload I will go for? I will go for this 4th overload, where there are already 3 arguments and 1 output is given. Okay, do remember, when you use func delegate, it is a generic delegate, and when you create any generic functionality like generic class or generic method, quite similar to this generic delegate, what you need to specify inside angular brackets? Only types. You are not going to mention parameter names. Okay, so how many arguments we got? 3. What is the type of first argument? Integer. Then what is the type of second argument? Float. What is the type of third argument? Double. And finally, what kind of output my method will be returning? Double. See, this is the overload which I am going to use for add. So func, this one. Then go ahead and create a reference for this. Like what I will do, delegate 1 equals to. Now what we are going to assign to this add method. This add method I am going to assign. Now how I am going to assign this add method? Using reference of this class. So first let's do that. We'll create a reference of a class. So built-in delegates demo. Gets demo 1 reference, or maybe we'll write simply reference 1 equals to new built-in delegates demo. And then here I will write reference 1 dot add. Okay. And now using this func delegate, we will be calling this add method. Okay, so I don't think so any change will happen in console. Addition is let's use that delegate reference. So func delegate 1, and you can see the target here. The first argument is integer, second argument is float, and third argument is double. Is there any need to give return type here? No. At the time of creation only you will be giving. Here we are calling the method. At the time of calling, we are passing only arguments. So 10, 10.5 f, and 10 point some more range you will be giving. That's it. If you run this, you will be getting same answer. Okay. So what is the advantage of this? The advantage is it is not required for me to create a delegate now. Now This is a proper delegate concept we implemented. Can we implement anonymous method with this? Yes. Can we implement lambda expression with this? Yes. Right? So how will you do that? Let's watch. Now you can combine all the concepts together. Okay. So here I'm giving the comment like using delegate. So use of func using delegate. Next, use of func using anonymous method. Let's do it. So again, I will take func delegate, specify the arguments, int, float, double, input arguments are over, give the output argument, which is again double. Let's name it as func delegate 2 equals to delegate keyword. Okay. We need to specify arguments here like int number 1, int number 2. Sorry, the second argument is float. I'm sorry. The third argument is double. Then we'll start writing the body, which is return number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. That's it. So now if you see this option, we are not even require this method. Okay, firstly, we are not required to create a delegate. We are not even requiring this method now because directly I'm attaching the body with this func delegate, and this will be again working. So let's see whether it is working or not. Func delegate. Let's keep this option on. So using delegate will do like this. Using anonymous method will do like this. Let's run it. See, I'm getting same answer. And finally, with lambda expression. Let's use lambda expression for this. Okay. Now lambda expression and func delegate, if you combine these two together, definitely this will be the best option for us. So again, I will take func delegate, integer, float, double, 3 arguments are over, return type is double, and now specify one more delegate reference, func delegate 3 equals to. Now in lambda expression, already we learned 3 parts we need to specify. What are those? Parameter, goes to, and logic. So right now, how many arguments we got? 3. Specify. Are we going to give the types here? No, because when we create this func delegate reference, I already specified types here. Goes to operator, write the logic. What is the logic? Return number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. That's it. In single line, it is finished. So we have not even created delegate. We have not even written a method. By using built-in func delegate, we directly written the logic. Okay. So this is how you will combine the functionality of all the previous concepts with func delegate. I will get same answer. Okay. So when to use func delegate? If your method is returning value. In short, there are no what you can say restrictions given for arguments up to 16 arguments you can pass to this func delegate. So even if your method is not taking any argument, then also func will be helpful. The only required or necessary thing is your method need to return a value. Okay, so this is how you will be using func delegate. So func action and predicate are built-in delegates. If method is returning a value, then func delegate is used. Okay. Now second option is action delegate. Now when to use action delegate? Your method is taking arguments but not returning any value. Okay. So there is no restriction given on parameters again, but what is the compulsion? Your method will not return any value, right? So let's work on this now. So I already written here multiplication method, if you remember, and for this multiplication method, I'll be using second option, which is action delegate. Okay. First, as a simplicity, we'll follow this method, multiplication method, and then we'll simply directly write the lambda expression. Okay, so using delegate, action delegate. Okay, using delegate, what I need to do is first I need to take that delegate. So action, and now you can watch out. Again, there are 16 overloads, right? And if you see this carefully, up to 16 arguments you are going to send, all right. But if you see first overload, at least one input is required. I'm sorry. Actually, I was telling you there is no restriction given for parameter, but I guess there is a restriction. Your method will take a single argument at least, and then you will go for action. Okay. Now, if I think about my multiplication method, how many arguments multiplication is taking? Same, 3 arguments. So let's specify it. So my first input argument is integer, second input argument is float, and third input argument is double. That's it. Let's create a reference. So action delegate 1 equals to. Let's assign this multiplication method into it. How will you assign it? Using this reference. So reference 1 dot multiplication. Okay, and we'll simply call this method by saying action delegate 1 dot invoke. You may use invoke, you may directly call, it's up to you. I'll write 10, or maybe we'll take some small numbers like 2, 2.5 f, and then we'll write 5.5678, something like this. Okay, now there is no question of writing console.writeLine because this method is not returning any value. So if I run this, watch out, it is giving multiplication. Okay, now let's do it using lambda expression. You may try it for anonymous method as well. So using lambda expression, how it will be? See, so again I will take action delegate. Let's take on here integer parameter, float parameter, and double parameter. Delegate 2. First parameter number 1, second parameter number 2, third parameter number 3. I specified parameter. Then goes to operator and specify the logic. So what is the logic here? Console.writeLine. Multiplication is specified like n1 into n2 into n3. Okay. This is how it will be. So again, in one line it is finished. Let's run it. Is it showing the answer? No, because we forgot to call it. I'm sorry. Let's give bigger numbers now. So I'm getting answer. Okay. So this is how you will use action delegate for methods. Now let's try to get the scenario where we are not returning any value. Will it be applicable? No. See, I cannot keep this empty. That is the problem. Right. So if your method is not taking a single argument, then this won't be allowed. Okay. So at least one argument your method need to have. Then action will be applicable. Okay. So this is all about action delegate. Now let's move ahead. Last. So if method does not return any value, then action delegate is used. Along with this, the another compulsion is your method need to have at least one argument. For func, this was not the case. For func, even if your method is not taking any argument, and if it returns the value, then also it is allowed. But for action, at least one argument you need to supply. Okay. And then go for the last one, which is predicate. Now do remember, in place of predicate, you will be directly using func also. Okay, but still this delegate is created. So let's watch out. What is the purpose of predicate? As usual, already I defined a method here. You will be understanding this. If your method is returning Boolean value, then predicate delegate is used. So let's watch this out finally. So predicate, if I use these generic symbol, then you can watch out, there is only one argument. Okay, and what it is suggesting me, the type of object to compare. Okay, so you may write any method over here, whatever the method you want to write. Already I written getLength method, let's use it. Like here, predicate string, taking string input. Let's specify here predicate delegate. So predicate delegate 1 equals to, let's assign the method using reference 1 dot get length. Okay, and now start calling it. So console.writeLine. I will write result is. Okay, and then start calling it. So predicate delegate 1 let's pass on the string. Okay, so if the length is greater than 7, the result will be true. If the length is less than 7, the result will be false. Like here if I pass Steve, you can watch out the result. It's false. Okay. On the other hand, if I pass here Steve Austin, the full name, definitely the length is greater than 7, so I'll be getting true. Okay, so not necessary this has to be for string only. You may take any type out here. Okay, now let's write it using lambda expression. So how will you write it? Okay, so let's take predicate. What type of argument? String, predicate, delegate, to equals to. Let's specify the argument list first. Let's say str goes to operator, and then logic will come. So we'll write that ternary operator directly here, like str dot length greater than 7 question mark true colon false. Fair enough. Let obviously return. I'm sorry. Okay, so we return the logic. Now let's go ahead and see whether it is showing the answer or not. Okay, so if I run this, the answer has come true. Okay, now I told you already the restriction of predicate is there will be only one argument. So for that argument, it will return true or false. Okay, I can use this. I can use this functionality with func. So func delegate is preferred in place of predicate, as I told you already. But still, you may go for it. Like here, let's say I want to check whether entered number is what you can say even number or odd number. Then what I will do, I will write simple logic like, see, now I'm doing it for integer. Predicate delegate 3. Let's specify argument. For example, n such that goes to. What will write? Return. Let's specify the logic like n mod 2 equals to 0 question mark true colon false. That's it. This also will be a valid predicate delegate. Okay, so result is, let's specify the number now, and as usual we'll be using predicate delegate 3. So if I pass minus 10 will give me true because it's a even number. On the other hand, if I pass minus 7 give me false because it's odd number. So this is how you will use predicate delegate. Okay. Okay, so predicate delegate is used when return value is boolean. And what is the restriction? There will be only one argument. You are not allowed to take multiple arguments. So yes, we learned func, we learned action, and we learned predicate. So what we saw in case of func, if method is returning a value, then you will use func delegate. There are no restrictions on arguments. So either you may send 0 arguments or you may send up to 16 arguments. In action, what we saw? In action, method does not return any value. First requirement, and at least one argument you need to send. And last, predicate. Method returns true false, means Boolean value, and there will be only one argument. That's it. So this is how you will be using built-in delegates. Now, as I told you already, func is used in place of predicate. Possible. Okay. So the same functionality of predicate delegate you will implement using func. Okay. So this is what func action and predicate are. So we started from the scratch. If you remembered yesterday, we started creating delegate, then instantiating delegate, and then call a method using delegate. Those steps are not required now. Simply use these built-in delegates and directly attach a method. Even if you use lambda expression, no need to attach a method as well. You can directly write the logic in front of the delegate like we saw already. Okay. So we can combine the functionality of generic delegate and lambda expressions together. I saw already, I shown already, and you saw this already, I guess. Okay, now instead of going events first, let's go to callback first, because callback is a bit smaller. So we'll be finishing callback first. Okay. So now we'll be learning the actual applications of delegate. Now, if you think about the delegate, already we discussed the basic, like how to create the delegate, how to instantiate the delegate, how to call a method using delegate, and obviously some other features which get introduced when .NET Framework goes ahead. Like in C# 2.0, we learned anonymous method which get invented in C# 2.0. Then we learned lambda expression. Okay, and finally we saw some built-in delegates. Now let's go for the actual application. So one of the application of delegate is it is helping in callbacks. So I told you already, the first main advantage of delegate is you can pass method as an argument to another method using delegate. Means the moment I will pass delegate as an argument, what does it mean? I can directly pass method over there. Okay, so let's see this application now. So the first question will be raised, what is callback? So what is callback? Callback is a piece of code which get executed again and again and again. Okay, and obviously this functionality we are going to implement using delegate. So in callback mechanism, piece of code is passed as an argument to another method, and it is going to be called back for some time as per the requirement. Okay. So what is callback? A piece of code which gets repeated several number of times whenever there is a need. Okay. Now, as an example, you may give n number of examples, but if you see MSDN, the previous books, there they given the sort example, right? Like let's say I'm writing the sort logic. So at the time of sorting, what I need to do is I need to do the comparison between elements always. Okay, so like let's say in my collection there are 10 elements and I want to do sorting. Okay, so how many times the comparison will be done? 9 times. So 9 times the same set of comparison code get executed. So that comparison code is a callback in this example. Okay, so let's start implementing this, I guess. Instead of telling it theoretically, we'll start implementing it. So which example I will be taking? Take any example, whatever you would like to take. So let's say what I got is I got a list of some entities. For example, I got a list of albums. There are multiple album records with me. Let's say there are 5 to 10 album records with me. And what I want to do is I want to filter out those records. Okay. So to filter out those records, I will write a filter method. Okay. To filter out those records, I will write a filter method, and this filter method will be a callback for me. Okay. So let's start constructing this example so that we'll understand how callback will be handled by delegate. Okay. So firstly, let me create a new project. Let's name it as callback demo. Okay. Now in this, I will start taking model class now. So if you remembered, we learned auto implemented properties, if you remember. And in auto implemented properties, backfield kind of concept get introduced by CLR. This kind of discussion we had already. So let's continue with that. So I will be taking here model class. Let's say my model class is album. Okay. Now for album, I already got some records here to avoid the time waste. What I've done is I simply prepared some records out here. So we'll take those records in a bit. Before that, we need to specify what we require for album. Okay. So definitely for album, I'm requiring ID. So let's specify it here. For example, the ID is integer for me. So now it's CLR's responsibility to create the backfields. I'm simply writing here auto implemented properties. Okay. I require ID, then definitely the name of that album, which is required. Next, I'll be requiring type of that album. Then I'll be requiring price of that album. And finally, I'll be requiring ratings for that album. And so here I took one entity, and for that entity, some attributes I chosen. Now I'm not specifying attributes directly. I'm using auto implemented properties. So this will be the model class for me. Okay. These kind of model classes are used in case of MVC mostly or web APIs. Okay, now let's start performing operations on this. So we will be preparing one more class. Let's name it as album operations. Now actually in development wordings, this is a repository for me. But right now we'll write album operations. Okay, and let's start creating this. Okay. So firstly, I require a list. So I will write a method here which will return me list of albums. Okay, get album list. And to do this, I will start preparing some album list. So let's prepare one list instance. Or we'll directly initialize it here only. Okay, so inside this, we'll start using new album curly brackets, and here you will be getting those auto implemented properties and start giving the values. Okay, so to reduce the time, what I done, I simply prepared some of the albums out here. So let me copy those and then start pasting it. Okay, you can watch out. I got a list of albums here, and in fact, I took 10 albums. Return one. That's it. Okay, so this is how I will be getting the list. Let's watch out whether it is showing the list or not. So prepare the object of album operations. And then we'll start calling the method get album list. What this will be returning? List. List of albums resultant equals to, maybe we'll say here your proper name album list. So all albums are there in this. So if I use for each loop, album item in collection album list console.writeline atom. That's it. So save it, run. Not getting the answer because I forgot something here. Let's overwrite toString. Okay, so return specify here now. So first I want ID. I want some space in between. Name is type. Sorry, type is price is last ratings. That's it. Now if I run it again, I'll be getting the list. You can watch out. So these are the 10 albums with me. Now what I want is I want to filter out the list. So this is the list. I got IDs I got names, I got types, I got ratings, and I got price. So on what basis you will be filtering out, it's up to you. So let's say I'm filtering out on the basis of ratings. I'm filtering out on the basis of ratings. So what I need to do now, definitely I'm requiring one method out here who will actually provide the criteria for me, right? And what criteria I will be specifying? Like let's say I want all those albums whose ratings is greater than 4 or maybe less than 4. It's up to you. Set the criteria for this. Okay. So what method will do? Method will set the criteria, and then on the basis of that criteria, we will start filtering out the albums. So here, which method will be a callback method? Filter method will be a callback method. Okay. So let's go ahead and start implementing here a callback method. So what I will do is public. Let's keep it as static for the time being. Public static. Now what this filter method is going to return? This filter method is going to return true or false. Means whether the criteria is fulfilled or not. So if ratings are greater than 4, we'll be returning true. If ratings are less than 4, we'll be returning false. Okay, so Boolean will be the return type. Let's name it as filter. Filter album list. And what this will be taking as an argument? Album. Okay. So return true if album ratings are greater than 4. Okay. So if album ratings are greater than 4, then return true. If it is not greater than 4, return false. This will be my callback method. Now, who is going to handle this callback? Delegate. So what I need to do, when I will prepare the delegate, I will prepare the delegate for this method. Right? So let's go ahead and start preparing the delegate like I shown here. You can watch out. Okay. So let's prepare the delegate. As usual, we are preparing it in namespace scope. Delegate. Let's specify the return type, Boolean. Then specify the signature. So we will be taking here album. And let's give the name. So right now, the name I'm keeping it as filter delegate. Our callback coding is done. Now we need to introduce a method which will actually going to filter out the albums. Okay, so let's write that method now. So what I'll be doing, I'll be taking a method which will return me list of albums which are following the criteria. Okay, so filter albums by ratings. How many arguments I'll be taking here? As usual, to filter out what we require list of album. So the first argument will be list. Okay, I'll call it as albums. And whenever we'll get an album, we need to check the criteria. And to check the criteria, we require this delegate. Okay, so what we'll be doing here, we'll be passing delegate reference. Now see, you can pass delegate as an argument, and this is totally allowed. Now to which method this delegate will be pointing? Filter album list, which is the callback method. Okay. So filtered albums will be returning. I took here a list of albums. Let's name it as filtered list. Create an instance, and as usual, after filtering, we'll be returning this. Whatever the logic we'll be writing, that will come in between. Okay. So I got filtered list. I got albums here. So let's fetch out each album one by one. So what I will do, for each album atom in. What is the collection? I got a list here, albums. So if I write here console.writeLine atom, what I'll be getting? Each album one by one. Now what I need to do is, I need to take each album and check out the criteria. What is the criteria? This one. Whether the ratings are greater than 4 or not. So if ratings are 4, greater than 4, then we'll be taking that album. Otherwise, we will be rejecting that album. And who is going to handle this? This delegate. So let's write the criteria. If delegate, watch out, you need to pass that album as an argument. So atom, if it is true, if the criteria is fulfilled, because this will return true false, right? So the moment I will call this method using delegate, where the control will go over here, and it will return true false accordingly. So what will happen? We'll be passing the album to it from here. In that album, there is a ratings field available. If ratings are greater than 4, then it will return true. And if it is true, we will add that in our filtered list. If it is true, we will add this album into our filtered list. So filtered list dot add in bracket. That's it. This is the logic. Okay. So every time in this for each loop, I'll be getting individual album. To check out the criteria, we will call back a method. And which method will be called back? Will be doing a callback for which method? Filtered album list. Sorry, filter album list. And to call this method, what we are going to use is delegate. Okay. So now let's follow this. So already we got a list of albums. So we'll call it as here console.writeLine original album list. Next, start calling other method now. Which method you will be calling? This one, filtered albums by rating. Okay. So I already got the list here through album list, which I'll be passed as a first argument. So let's see, A1 dot filter albums by ratings. First, list of albums. So I'll be passing simply album list, and second argument is this method. Right now it is static, so I can take this directly, and definitely I won't require any object reference. If I remove this static, definitely I need to create a program class reference, and then using program class reference will be calling it. But to avoid the complication, I took this as a static. Okay. Okay, so this filter albums by ratings method is going to return list of filtered albums. And will display. So I will give message filtered albums are. Okay, for each where atom in filtered list displayed. So we'll write here atom. That's it. Let's give some spacing in between. Okay. Okay, so you can watch this out once again. I repeat, watch out. See, here we are handling callback. Now, in this example, first you need to understand why callback is required. So I told you I got a list of albums. Okay. Out of all these albums, I want those albums whose ratings are greater than 4. Okay. So if ratings value is greater than 4, then we will take that album, otherwise we'll reject it. So what I need to do here, I need to keep on taking each album, check its ratings. If ratings are greater than 4, we'll take that album, otherwise we'll reject it. This is the simple criteria. Now, in this example, where the callback comes into the picture. Now, if you think about this example, for each album, we are checking the ratings. So if I got a list of 10 albums, how many times I will check the ratings? 10 times. So 10 times this callback will happen. Okay. So what I've done, first I prepared a list of albums. Since we don't have any database or all functionalities available, I directly done here hard coding. Okay. So I took list of albums here. Then to filter out, I return a method, which is this one. Okay. So in this method, what I return, as I told you, will be getting each album here. And for each album, I will be checking the ratings. So if ratings are greater than 4, then it will return true. If ratings are less than 4, it will return false. So if this method is returning true, that album will be taken. If this method is returning false, that album will be rejected. Okay, so some logic I written in this. And to represent this method, I hired one delegate. Okay. So when I'm writing this method, filtered album by ratings, first I list of albums and I require that method where actually the comparison logic is written. Okay, so who is going to represent that? Delegate. And we finish the logic. So what is important here? This line. This line is a callback line. how many times this line will be followed? 10 times, because right now I took only a list of 10 atoms. So every time what will happen, when the control comes here, this delegate will be calling filtered album list method. And how many times this will be done? 10 times. And this is how callback get handled with the help of delegate. So let's watch out whether I'm getting the answer or not. So if you run this, see, I got filtered list. So you can watch out original list and you can compare that with filtered list. Okay, so ratings 4.5 are showing here, whereas rating 4 is also ignored because I written greater than 4. Okay, so if I write greater than equal to 4, then these two will be added. Watch out. So if I run this, watch, those two are added. The 4, the ratings 4, 1 get added. Okay. So this is how you will be handling the callback using delegate. Now, as I told you already, in a reference book, the sort example is given. You may follow that sort example as well if you are requiring it. But still, you need to create an example where actually the callback is required. So sort is the perfect example, and this one which I created is also a perfect example where the callback get handled. So how the execution will be, you can watch out. So I will just put the breakpoints out here and you can see the execution now. Okay, so you can watch out here. The first album is Arise. So what is the first album? This one, which is ID 101, Justice for All and all that. Okay, so now this album will be passed. See this, Justice for and all that. You can watch out. This album will be passed as an argument by this delegate to which method? This method. So let's watch out whether it is going in that method or not. So if I do continue, you can watch out. It is coming in filter album list. And right now, first album is passed, which is Justice for All. Okay. Then if I do continue, the first album is considered, sorry, not considered since ratings were 2.5. Now next album comes into the picture, which is this one. This also will not be considered since ratings are 3.5. So if you check out your filtered list, right now it is 0, count is 0. So let's go ahead and continue this. Still it is 0. Now third album comes into the picture. Now for third album, the ratings are 4.5. Now this will be considered since it follows the criteria. So if I do continue, you can watch out. This will return true because ratings are 4.5. So to check this out, in filtered list now, the count is 1. And which element is added? The last one. So this will go on till 10 elements and the callback will be handled. Okay. So is this clear? Yes? Hello?
Yes.
So now let's go ahead and introduce some theoretical part out here. Like already we saw in callback mechanism, a piece of code is passed as an argument to another method. So if you see our example, in our example, this piece of code is passed as an argument to this method. And how we are going to pass? Via delegate. Okay, So in callback mechanism, piece of code is passed as an argument to another method and it is going to be callback for some time. In C#, this can be achieved using delegates. So already I told you without delegate this is not possible because delegate will provide you the facility to pass method as an argument to another method. Okay, now let's go back to events. Need to come back again. Okay, now we'll just clear the idea of event and we'll see the demo tomorrow. Okay. Now what is event? Action. Event is a kind of action and this action will be what you can say provided in the form of notifications, right? Like the best example for this is a button click. So when you click the button, you perform some action. And this action is called event. Okay, so click is the event. And if you take real life example like I don't think so people are going in ATM nowadays, but still if you consider ATM is again a best example of event. How? Like you will create activity, you will create some action, and on the basis of that action the respective software will give you a feedback or a result, right? Like let's say I want to withdraw money, so what I will do, I will swap the card, I will give PIN number, and then it will provide me some options. Like withdraw option is there, deposit option is there, mini statement option is there, PIN change option is there. So on the basis of my requirement, I will do some action. Means I will choose the option. So let's say I want to withdraw money. So I will press withdraw button. I perform some action. So the moment I will press that button, the action will be performed. And this action performed is called event. Okay. So there are two things here important. What are those? Action performed and action handled. Right? Like when I will say withdraw, I perform some action. I initiated some activity like I want to withdraw money. So event is created. Event is called, event is raised. On the basis of that, somewhere in software, some withdraw activity is followed. So when I will say withdraw, the withdraw activity will be followed. The steps written in withdraw activity will be followed, and accordingly, I will get outcome. So yes, as a user, I created an action, I initiated some action, and software has handled that action. So two things are there. What are those two things? Action is initiated, and the moment action is initiated, somebody has already performed that action. Okay. Now, these two things need to be connected together. So when I will create an action as a user, somebody needs to perform that action. So somebody needs to tell that action, a perform functionality like action is initiated, please perform it. Okay, so two things are there. First, action is initiated, and second, action is performed. Yes? Hello? Any problem?
No, sir.
Okay, so we will be creating some action like I will select the withdraw option. So selecting withdraw option is creating or initiating the action. And somebody has already created a withdraw functionality in that software. So the moment I will say I want to withdraw money, I'm initiating the withdraw action, and that as a response, the respective withdraw functionality will be executing. Now, these two things need to be connected together, right? When I will say I want to withdraw money, what I done? I chosen the option. I initiated some activity, and this activity is already handled in a software. But when I will create the activity at that time, this activity creation notification need to be given to that particular what you can say software like activity is created. So please execute it. Okay. So yes, user will create the action and software will perform that action. So how software will understand user has created the action? In our example, user will create the action. What are the possibilities for me as a user? The possibilities are I may initialize withdraw, I may initiate withdraw, I may initiate deposit, pin change. So these are the certain options available for me. On the basis of requirement, I will choose the respective one. So as I told you, all these are events. So withdraw is the event, deposit is the event, pin change is the event, mini statement is the event, balance check is the event. So to handle all these activities, inside a software, already code is present. Already somebody has already written a code for this. Okay. So inside a software, implementation of withdraw is present, implementation of deposit is present, implementation of pin change is present, implementation of many statement is present, implementation of balance sheet is present. So as a user, when I'm initiating this withdraw, somebody need to tell software like withdraw is initiated, please execute the withdraw implementation. Okay, this is called binding, right? So if you think about a function terms, what user is doing here? Call. User is calling the activity. And what software is doing? Software is executing the activity. So what is there in between? Binding. So when I will call withdraw method will be executed in software. As a user, when I will call withdraw method, the withdraw method definition which is present in software will be executing. Okay. Let's say some written type I'm giving here. I'm not at all going in programmatic details. Okay. So someone has already implemented this for me. So now the point here is the moment withdraw will be initiated, this needs to be handled by software. And when software is able to handle it, if somebody is telling him withdraw is initiated. So these two things need to be synced together. Okay? Means in function terms, when withdraw gets called at user level, in software, immediately withdraw implementation needs to be executing. So somebody need to tell software, please execute withdraw implementation because this withdraw is called. And who is doing this job? Delegate. So delegates are acting as a binder for events. Okay, delegates are acting as a binder, or they are acting as a bridge in between activity initiated and activity performed. So the moment activity is initiated, delegate will tell the software, please perform this activity. Like when the withdraw gets called, what delegate will do? Delegate will tell software, please execute withdraw method because withdraw is called. So up to this point, we saw binding done by the compiler, but now binding will be done by the delegate. Why so? Because the scopes are different, right? This user activity will be handled in separate class, and software activity will be handled in separate class. And the communication between these two objects will be done with the help of delegate. Okay, so yes, what is the what you can say criteria for a delegates are used in event handling. How delegates are used in event handling? Delegates are acting as a bridge in between event raised and event handled. That's why delegates are called event handlers. So when action is initiated, event called, or in technical terms, it is raised. So when event is raised, this raised event needs to be handled. Okay, and who is doing this? Who is doing the sync between these two? Who is going to do binding between these two? Delegate. So the moment event is raised, it needs to be handled. Okay, so what is event? Event is an action performed by the user, as per this example is concerned. Okay, so this is what the criteria I showed you. We'll be discussing this event in detail tomorrow. Is it okay? Yes? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be, I just created some example out here, a real life example. As I told you, we'll be discussing technical terms tomorrow, but still you should be knowing how delegate is acting as a binder, or how delegate is acting as a bridge in between these two. So we got two classes lined up. There is a publisher class and there is a subscriber class. And the communication between publisher class and subscriber class will be done with the help of delegate. How? That we are going to see tomorrow, I guess. Okay. So Hope so you got Funk and all those things, and as well as callback. So tomorrow we'll be continuing with event handling firstly, and then we'll start with the next topic. For today, I guess we'll stop. Tomorrow we'll be continuing with the further discussion, as I said. So thank you so much. Have a nice day ahead. I'm disconnecting the call.